referee Jeff Gamble, the Canadian, about to get things started.
The crowd slightly suppressed due to rain shortly before kickoff. We are underway in Rochester. The Rhinos a 2-game win streak as they sit 5th in the Eastern Conference, 8th in the USL Power Rankings on USLsoccer.com. For Charleston, 2-1-3, just one defeat, 7th in the Eastern Conference as we entered the week.
Obviously, both teams wanting to get the upper hand, get the points in order to try and stay in that playoff race, stay in those top 7 positions. So a very key early season matchup, and also for historic reasons, that is the case as well.
Fans excited to have new ownership running the boat in Rochester. The Dworkin family coming in, $1 million in renovations, top to bottom organizational changes. Really exciting time for the only team beneath MLS in the last 20 years to win the U.S. Open Cup. Battery with their fluorescent jerseys today. Could probably see those from space. Meanwhile, it's the black and gold for Rochester. They'll move right to left on your screen in the opening 45. Tom Samuel starting at right back. Physical contact, and the whistle blows. Wall Fall making his first start as a Rhino, drawing the ire of the referee, Jeff Gamble.
So now you see the intent of Rochester right now is they're looking to set it up all for Romario Williams. He's the one pretty much in the middle. He'll be the one receiving all the service, or at least that's the intent so far early on in this match.
Vasilis Apostolopoulos out today. It makes Joe Farrell the centerpiece of the defense. On the ball now, LaSalle graduate, his dad, Pat Farrell, about to enter his 30th season at the helm for the Explorers. And the turnover in midfield. Portillo for Williams. Taken away, it's Camden. Charleston 7 points in their opening 3 games. They've amassed just 2 in their last 3. Draws against Bethlehem Steel and Pittsburgh, a loss at the hands of Charlotte. Ball kicked out of harm's way. The surprise starter, Tomas Gomez, the Mexican who gets the call, a standout at Georgetown. Brandon Miller moving out. Couple of defenders leaving as well for Rochester. This isn't the team that blew out the record for least goals allowed, as Dos Santos is fouled. Nabil Hackshaw.
Dos Santos will be a very key player, obviously, as he's looking to get back in rhythm, has not been able to do so, mostly because of being able to play 1 game and being out for 2 due to suspension. He's one of the players that really needs to step up in a big way.
Driving in across towards Forbes. It's held away from the end line. Charleston trying to bring it the other way. Dom Samuel slipping on this brand new field turf. The key to the renovation of Salem Stadium, long overdue addition after 10 years on the old turf. And a touch for Gomez. Sent upfield, Valesky was sprung, but out to get it, Alex Tambakis, the Greek goalie, making his 10th professional appearance.
Again, I like the intention, how direct that you're starting to see Rochester go, finding those spaces, trying to send those balls into the space so Valesky can run onto it. Maybe a little bit too flat on the delivery, but still the intent is there. And you start to have Charleston's defense have to drop back and respect that potential offense.
Portillo to the central defender, Taylor Mueller. Now Quentin Griffith. Not nearly the same pressing intensity we saw last week from Rochester in their 2-1 victory over the Harrisburg City Islanders. Still forced the turnover, though, as Valesky takes it in the midfield. Wide for the Frenchman, Camden. Farrell up the wing, Tosh. Again, trying to play direct to the striker.
Now, I mean, Mike, you're talking about the lack of pressure that they're doing up, that they're not implementing up high. Here's the thing: when you have a team that really isn't, that's actually very timid, moving the ball forward, you're just waiting for them to make the mistake. They've been able to make the mistake and pretty much cash in on it, being able to be the most offensive team so far.
And a late whistle, the ball goes back to Charleston. It's a Rochester team that was outstanding defensively last year, can't deny that. There's the push behind the play. Tony Walls, the captain for this side, said, you know, this is a team that has great offensive pieces. It's a team that had one of the best goal differentials in the league, the best by a wide margin, I should say, nearly 3-1. One of the best in league history. They scored too. It's not like they solely defended. They counterattacked with tremendous authority. Garzi, who wears the captain's band today.
Be interesting to see the movement that Canardo Forbes is doing. Garzi, I like what he's been able to do. He's looking to make himself available in the middle. He drops back, tries to make himself the open player. Hasn't received the ball too many times, but still is finding the open spaces here and there as Forbes and him are starting to pair up really well.
Garzi bulldozed off the ball. Advantage played for Charleston. Up the left wing. It's Fall kicking it away. Jeff Gamble explaining the reasoning to Garzi.
He doesn't need to start making any explanation or giving any explanations to any players as far as the calls are concerned. He needs to just go and focus on what's going on at the task at hand right now.
Long throw, middle of the 18, easily handled, and the shot pops over the crossbar and off the netting from long range. No trouble there for Gomez.
Early on, you're seeing both teams really trying to force situations, really forcing the ball towards goal, instead of trying to get the teams both, trying to at least get all their pieces, trying to get them in comfortable situations, move the ball around, establish a rhythm. That has not been done so far.
Tosh, one of those players who can help establish a rhythm in the midfield, carrying it along. Garzi now. Mentioning his ability to link up moments ago. 10th minute, no score between Charleston and Rochester. And this, the USL game of the week.
Look at the marking that they're putting on Tosh, so he's not able to transport the ball. They're forcing the central defenders and even the outside backs in certain situations to move that ball. Saying, if you're going to move it up, your best guy's not going to get it. Try and find another option. That's what's going on right now. And you see it with Tosh and his lack of space in order to even gain the ball, possession of it.
And Farrell unable to connect. A foul whistled against Charleston, and that creates an outstanding opportunity here for Rochester. This is the best look Rochester's had so far.
Yes.
It's been stuck, a little bogged down so far in the midfield.
Especially when they get into that final third. They really are figuring out what they need to do, how they're going to do it, and right now it's the best opportunity to try and really put a major complication in front of goal.
Garzi, it's headed through, and it's in the back of the net. Rochester strikes first. The last touch unclear, but the Rhinos ahead of Charleston, 1-0.
Give half a goal right there to Alex Tambakis. I don't know what he was doing. I think he was tiptoeing through the tulips there, kind of perusing around the 18, but he was completely out of position, found himself in no man's land. Rochester taking the lead off a big mistake from the goalkeeper.
Bob Lilly and the Oak Street Brigade couldn't be happier. Joe Farrell appeared to get the last touch, and it's his first career professional goal.
Again, there's a list of other things that went wrong. The defense wasn't marking properly. The goalkeeper was out of position. You name it. There was a lot of things that went wrong on that set piece opportunity.
Sean Tosh being announced in the stadium as the goal scorer.
And Garzi with the assist.
Regardless, it's Rochester with this 1-0 lead on that scrum in front of the net, and Valesky was nearly able to pick that up on the goal line and boot that in for his fourth.
Again, when you see the replay at halftime, you start seeing the highlights. You're going to see where the goalkeeper was positioned on that play, and pretty much got to blame him on that one fully.
Cross deep in Charleston offensive territory. Griffith. Griffith trying to play over the top. The Rhinos guiding it back to center field. And a foul against the battery. Nearly sticking that foot in.
Again, look how hard a time Rochester having moving that ball up in the middle of the pitch when you have one of your midfielders, your holding midfielders, trying to transport that ball, distribute that ball around, haven't had the opportunity to turn around. So they obviously has to go into different feet or different positions in order to try and move that ball around a little bit better. So far, it's been successful for them. It's led to set pieces, and obviously it led to the goal.
There's been a scoring change on the Rhinos' first goal. Credit goal now to number 15.
There you go.
And it was credited. Now it's been reversed. Now it's again, as you mentioned before, Michael, it's Joe Farrell. He gets his first professional goal. Yada, yada, yada.
Right. This should be the best view we can get. You can see Tosh running in out front.
No one marking him. And look where Tambakis is. So, I mean, you see a lot of things that went wrong there. Fundamental mistakes that were made by the defense, and they paid for it dearly.
Joe Farrell, his first professional goal. The difference for Rochester. Sent up the line by Samuel. Guided by Tosh and Samuel again. Stolen on the near touchline. Whipped in by Prince. Chested down, the shot is in! Charleston pulls level in the 15th. And no surprise, Romario Williams has his fourth.
Great play here as you see that ball just being swung around there by Zach Prince. Again, the defense looking over their heads. Romario Williams finds the perfect reference point, knows where he's at, has the advantage as he does have a clear path to that ball, but the way he brings that down, that's the difference. The way he brings it down, that first touch, bringing it down right to his right foot, far post, nothing that could be done there by Tomas Gomez.
Romario Williams has his team leading 4th of the season. Most of the time, that's a really good number, 4 goals. It just happens to be that this year, Jack McBean is sitting at 9 to lead the league. A historic scoring pace elsewhere in the league. Valesky.
So much for goals being at a premium, right?
Quarter of an hour, we've got 2.
But again, you got to give a lot of credit to Zach Prince, the way he was able to place it, where he found his teammate. He was always looking up. That's one of the things that really needs to be looked at. You do see a lot of players, when they're playing down the wings, the tendency is just to serve it without looking. He had the time, he had the ability to look up and find his reference point, which was Romario Williams, pinpoint, and that's why we're equalized at 1.
And that's Prince with his first assist of the season. He served a 2-game red card suspension after being ejected from the Bethlehem Steel FC game. Camden near touchline for Rochester. His 2nd consecutive start, and he serves in across. Easily defended away. Garzi trying to keep the attack on. Garzi in possession now. It falls back to Tambakis. The first player in Atlanta United FC history, the future MLS club, loaning him out to Charleston, who's been dealing with a knee injury of late. It's been difficult for him to kick off. One would think he'll be going short today in his first appearance in the last 3. Valesky tripped up. We were wondering who was going to be the lead striker in this pairing. We thought Valesky would stay further up, but it's Valesky who's dropped further back. He's almost playing a bit of a winger role right now.
Yeah, pretty much playing a bit of a winger. He has had the tendency to want to play a little bit wider, not too wide, more into the channels, which opens a lot of space for him and also does offer some opportunities for Dos Santos to make some runs off of him. Important to notice that he was playing in a reverse role in the past couple of matches, so he is very polyfunctional when it comes to being able to play different roles as a forward.
And last year, neither were available for the USL Championship game. It's played over the end line.
Fans, at this time, we would like to welcome both the Oak Street Brigade and the Flower City Stampede.
And it's the Flower City Stampede, the Oak Street Brigade, the supporters groups for this Rochester Rhinos organization, which has undergone a massive facelift with new ownership at the helm. The Dworkin family owning minority share of the Sacramento Kings as well. Not the only NBA owners getting involved is the Spurs organization in San Antonio now joining the USL this offseason. As Griffith lost possession and Tony Walls has advantage. Camden. Canardo Forbes. Going to be a throw for Prince. Looks like Forbes may have provided a bit of a push there too.
Griffith playing on the right, allowing O'Brien Woodbine, who's one of the leading assist men, over on the left side to play a little bit further out. So essentially you see a back line of 3 with Quentin Griffith playing a little bit further out, allowing players like Prince, like Portillo, to be able to move around in the midfield, but then always that threat of the left side, which we haven't seen too much of, be very prevalent so far.
An aerial over the top, easily handled. Tony Walls was able to recover. And Charleston takes over. The Battery have won 4 USL championships, trying to knock off the defending champion early in the season, establish some dominance in the Eastern Conference. Through ball, right side, and a sliding move, and they're looking, which way is this going? A yellow card is issued for the dive.
I don't think, as the referee's booking there, Michael Chang, I don't think it was a penalty. I don't think it was a dive either. I've seen a couple of instances where players have slipped, and we're going to see right here in the replay. Great play there by Romario Williams. Look right here, Michael. He tries to cut back inside. He slips.
A little bit of a hop step as
Yeah,
well.
a little bit of a hop step, but yeah, you could say that he did slip. I mean, there's been a couple of other players that have slipped so far on the turf, but Michael Chang, the former Cuban international, going into the referee's book in the 21st minute.
So it's Tomas Gomez who hits the ball back into play. In for Adam Grinwis, who has started the majority of games this season after Brandon Miller moved on to Orange County. Garzi is also going into the book in the 22nd minute.
Jeff Gamble getting a little trigger happy here with his yellow cards, but took a little bit of time for him to start to show them as well. Got tired of the warnings.
So Justin Portillo to put the ball back in play. 2 goals, 5 minutes apart. 10th minute, 15th minute. Joe Farrell, Romario Williams. One expected, the other his first career professional goal. Up the line again. Griffith combining and a sliding challenge. Camden leading it the other way. It's Valesky. Finally met, plays it to the middle of the park, and now wide right. Forbes, the low cross, all the way across the face of goal, nearly an own goal, and it's blasted back to midfield.
Great run there by Dos Santos as the attack continues.
Forbes again in. Off Dos Santos. And Griffith still down. Grabbing for that right ankle. This combining play doesn't quite work out, in part because of that hard sliding challenge from Camden.
Combination of both, that and his foot getting caught in the turf. But again, you have to look at the run that was being made by Dos Santos. Instead of running immediately, he timed his run, he dropped back a little bit. He was able to see where the ball was and then perfectly timed his run. Obviously, it didn't come out to a clear opportunity, but it did cause a great deal of mayhem for that back line of Rochester, of the defense here as the ball coming through is Charleston. All sorts of trouble there, being able to handle the ball. Dos Santos thought that the run was coming through, and Taylor Mueller, they're bailing out, I guess, to a certain extent. That cross that came in.
And Mueller is nearing 100 appearances in his career for Charleston. Would hardly be the GOAT had that gone in, but certainly would have been disappointed in the moment. 4-time USL Coach of the Year, Bob Lilly. In his second stint in Rochester, took the team to the championship, left, team missed the playoffs, came back in 2014 after a couple-year absence, and led them right back to the championship and one of the best seasons in pro soccer history in the U.S. 1 loss all year for Rochester, and there's no foul there. Woodbine went down.
And Valesky playing essentially, you see him right there in the middle of your screen. So instead of that 4-4-2, I guess you could say, Rochester going essentially a 4-5-1, allowing Dos Santos to pretty much play up top by himself. He's the reference man. He's that attacking pivot up top. Meanwhile, we see a Charleston that sees a lot of players kind of cramming in the middle, not really finding a precise place. Portillo kind of lost, really not being able to distribute the ball well. Hackshot dropping back. Yet Zach Prince out wide has been the best option to both move the ball around and obviously serve it, as he was the one with the assist.
Camden being moved by one of the better tacticians in the USL. And he's on the ball now for the Rhinos. The home side in this, the USL Game of the Week. And keep up to date with the USL all season long by visiting the new USLsoccer.com. Everything you need to know about the United Soccer League. Tambakis takes over. 23-year-old Greek goalkeeper. Ferguson, the captain. From Mueller. Sent towards Williams. Whip back to midfield. Dos Santos played away from the ball.
Fans, we'd also like to say happy 11th birthday to Nicholas Myers. And happy 40th birthday to
Sean Tosh. The Rhinos scoring in the 10th, Charleston in the 15th to equalize between a team that set the USL defensive goals allowed record last year in Rochester and a team that didn't get nearly enough credit for coming in second, allowing just a goal a game, the Charleston Battery. Both on pace to put up similar numbers again this season. As Zach Prince starting the attack the other way for the Battery. A push from Tosh. Again, no whistle. And back comes Garzi and the Rhinos.
One too many touches there on that counter. Need to be a little bit crisper, a little bit more decisive, better timing in order to really open up the defense there.
Camden was trying to spring walls. There's Mike Anheuser, 5 seasons as a player, 115 appearances for Charleston, then 6 years as an assistant. He's been the GM for 9 years, and the head coach now for 12.
Look at how hard a time we're seeing Charleston have being able to just even recover the ball. And as soon as they recover it, okay, what do I do with it next?
Forbes, what a move inside! And it's kicked towards the net, and it's in! Rochester takes the lead back. Canardo Forbes celebrating. Rochester pulls back ahead in the 28th.
Great bit of work here by Dos Santos. That's why he's such a dangerous presence. Look at what he's able to do. Just get a foot on it. The defense, not knowing what he's going to do next, spins around, finds a great chance here. But Canardo Forbes going and cleaning up what was left. Great work by Dos Santos as he's able to just put that ball through. Finally, Canardo Forbes saying, thank you very much. You'll get dinner on me tonight.
How about 3 goals in the opening 29 minutes? Smoke again.
If this is goals being at a premium, please bring it on. You know, I mean, please limit it. Oh, no, less, more. You know, less is more. But pretty much, yeah, all good.
Kind of funny how you come in with expectations for a game and they're quickly put aside.
Look, I'm only blaming you on this one. You're the one that jinxed it, okay? So
a jinx?
Yeah.
I think everyone can be happy with this result so far.
That's perfectly fine. Nobody's complaining.
No.
I just said you jinxed it.
Rochester trying to add another. Sent wide by Forbes. Camden. The Frenchman met and taken by Prince. His clearance forced further. It's a foul on Rochester behind the play.
Portillo right there getting called for that move right there. But again, I mentioned it a few minutes ago, talking about Dos Santos and what he creates as far as danger. He hasn't really shot on goal so far, but the opportunities that he's created, like this one right there,
Dos Santos puts it high.
and he's creating those types of complications, especially for the central defenders.
You can't sleep for a second on this Rhinos team. Forbes keeps it in the air. Dos Santos latching on, has Walls in the middle of the field, and he's dispossessed by Ferguson.
The most amazing thing, too, you don't see Dos Santos dribbling a little bit too much. You don't see Dos Santos holding it and trying to find. He's taking one touch, sending it to space, and trying to outmaneuver the opposition. That's what he's been able to do. That's what's made him so dangerous. It's not necessarily holding the ball and waiting for support. It's trying to find what you can do with the ball at your feet.
Tony Walls, typically a central player for Rochester, playing wide tonight. And everybody moving forward as Garzi will get another opportunity on a free kick. 2013 USL Hall of Famer Mike Anheuser. Garzi whips it toward net and wide of everybody. Tembakis lets it skitter out.
At times you see Charleston being a little bit too timid when they're playing the ball out from the back. That allows Rochester to say, okay, fine, beat us. We'll stay back, see how you can beat us, dribbling and really possessing the ball. Can you do it? The answer has been no so far, because they've settled for the long ball.
Just like that, Romario Williams the target. And the Rhinos again possess. Garzi switching the point of attack, but too strong even for the wheels of Camden.
But you see players like Tosh also getting involved a little bit more. Garzi starting to get a bit more touches. Wall starting to move around a little bit better. That's what really complicates things from a defensive standpoint for Charleston. Now, when they get the ball back, 1-2 touches, they give the ball right back to the home side, and that's really where things start tilting the pitch against them. Makes it an uphill battle.
And again, in between two players, Battery retained possession momentarily as Mueller for Ferguson. Played up the left touch line. A low service is tapped towards the net. That's blocked and played back to midfield. Charleston trying to strike while the iron's hot, trailing 2-1. 28th minute goal from Canardo Forbes, the difference maker. Played in again, and that's knotted out. Portillo. Prince. Now the service. And it leads to a Charleston Battery corner. Amazingly, 3 goals, and this is the first corner of the match in the 34th.
First of the match, first for Charleston. And again, it's through the corners, it's through the wings that Charleston have had their best success so far. Really nothing from the middle. They have to try and hold the ball a little bit more. Try and be more patient. Try and see how they can start making some runs. Still seeing a couple of players too static in front of the ball, not trying to open things up, and the defense makes it much easier for them to defend.
Portillo. And that's easily handled by Walls. It's the second ball that's the concern, though. Williams sent it wide. The Rhinos were looking for offside. Williams played to the whistle, and he just missed bagging a brace.
But again, one of the cardinal sins, taking way too much time to clear, allowing the Charleston Battery to really be able to reset inside the middle And allowing almost the brace there, as you mentioned, Mike, as far as Romario Williams is concerned. You cannot get your eye off of that player. He's one of those different players. I mean, the pace, the way he's able to step on the ball and move it inside the final third, that's what makes him such a different player here in USL.
Forbes through ball is perfect and headed right to the mitts of Tembakis. Valesky, perfectly run and a perfect ball.
And perfect positioning by Tembakis, have to give him credit as well. Anticipated, did not go out and charge like he did before in the corner kick that resulted in the first goal. Was able to position himself well, and the ball ends up right in his lap.
Charleston offense led by Romario Williams, the 3rd overall pick of Montreal Impact in the 2015 MLS Super Draft. Meanwhile, Canardo Forbes, this service.
Beautiful right there. Perfect. I mean, you couldn't ask for better execution there on both ends. Starting like the way this match is playing out. Both teams really finding some good offensive volume, really finding a good bit of diversity as far as options to get to goal. The chances have been there so far. Very entertaining the first 36, 37 minutes of this match.
Rhinos looking to win their 3rd in a row. They're looking for a 3rd goal in the game. And a foul on Valesky, who is pushing off the defender Ferguson. And Valesky was holding up play. And Jeff Gamble.
Looks like he's going to get the book.
Yeah.
To the book, enough for dissent more than anything else. That's a name that we haven't mentioned a lot today. O'Brien Woodbine. Thought that he would be more of a factor over on the left side. Has not been the case.
Valesky's still pleading his case over there. And there's the yellow, as expected. But Woodbine, Jamaican national team player.
He's definitely in the pool for Winifred Schaefer, especially for the upcoming Copa America. Could be an option. Schaefer still waiting to announce his 40-man list.
Reggae Boys just one of 73 countries represented on USL rosters this season. Dos Santos thought he had an opening on the wing. Ferguson, too strong for his target. Camden, touched by Dos Santos. Walls didn't arrive in time, and Dos Santos throwing his hip in the way. And Charleston, the quick restart. Charleston, 9 points in 6 games, 7th in the Eastern Conference. The 2012 USL champions, Rochester, 3-1-1, 10 points in 5 games, 5th in the East. The chance to jump into the top 3 with a victory today. Rhinos, the defending champions, in front of the Oak Street Brigade. An opportunity here for Obi Woodbine. Try and make an impact on a long throw. Second ball, Williams is pushed out of the way, and the clearance comes for the Rhinos. It's Woodbine now, and Prince touched wide. Physical contact near the end line, and it's going to be a corner kick for Charleston.
You see right there, you see a lot of the movement now going down the left side. Woodbine, of course, forcing the situation and kind of being light about that. But still, you got to pressure. That's what you have to do in order to create situations such as this one.
The cross is poked away by Gomez. Not overly convincing, but the second clearance stronger. Griffith now. Back to the top of the 18. Ferguson, first team All-USL last year. And the skipper with the captain's band today. Here's Mueller. Tosh sticking his foot in. Woodbine will throw.
Charleston at this point just using more physicality, more will than actually skill or anything to really press Rochester into the shadow of their own goalposts. Really looking at and trying to impose themselves physically instead of trying to be more elaborate and trying to establish a scheme of passing to really open the defense up, to really open some more opportunities for them. We haven't seen any true shots on goal in the past maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes by both sides, especially Charleston, who have really been the ones that have been imposing their will.
Charleston got the first shot of the game, but it was a weak effort towards goal on a second ball off a set piece. Since then, they haven't had one attempt towards the net. They're looking for one here. Sent wide by Portillo. Garzi leading the defense. Dos Santos suspended for 4 games already this year, one carrying over from a playoff game last season and then a 2-game suspension for a red card. But he's finally back in the lineup and he's made a bit of an impact. Although he hasn't scored for Rochester, it's been Forbes and Farrell and Mario Williams for Charleston.
But he's had a lot to do, especially with that second goal. Had a great deal to do with that. The foul's going to be called there.
Chang was playing it up the line, and Garbanzo was taken down. Another yellow card. It's been a busy first half for the reffing crew today. Camden is the guilty party.
Well, Camden just put them from behind. There's no other way to put it. And Garbanzo a little bit frustrated, has not been able to really get into the game much. Had an opportunity there and gets clipped. As you mentioned, a very busy afternoon, busy late evening for Gamble. First assistant, Democritus Pachalidis, teacher, I guess you could say. David Carpinella and Chris Trachier, the 4th official.
Camden and Forbes setting the wall for Gomez. Portillo hits it out in front, and it's high. Not a bad look for Charleston.
Not a bad look, but a lot of goes off the back of the head here of Prince. But overall, it's been a very interesting set of circumstances for this first half. We did see Rochester be the more offensive for quite a bit. You do see the insertion of Steven Dos Santos make a difference. Obviously, part of the reason why they're ahead 2-1. His dangerous situations when he is near the 18 have made it vital for him to be a major contributor. But then Charleston changed things around, really looking to hold the ball, really winning those 50-50 balls have made such a difference as far as not just possession, but positioning on the pitch.
It's Valesky taking over for the Rhinos. Camden up the line. Kicked away from Tony Walls. Was playing Arena League soccer and missed a couple of games. Bit of a transition from the indoor game outdoors. A couple of players making that move. Camden the backstop on the clearance. And the extra pass for Walls. Camden colliding from behind.
Now, who's going to be the one for Charleston to say, you don't give me the ball, let me think a little bit more? Charleston, yeah, they're pushing forward, they're attacking, but they're not thinking. There's not a really clear path to goal. There's been very convoluted ways, as we'll have 1 minute of stoppage time being given by the referee, but there's still a lot of convoluted ways. It's been very complicated for them to get into goal. When they've been able to clear things up, have a little bit of clarity, case in point, when Zach Prince was able to score early on in the match, you did see that their team does have that potential.
And since then, it's just been bombing balls forward without really any possession, any focus, any intent, seemingly.
Just for the sake of keeping it down on the opposite side, it seems. Meanwhile, for Charleston, for Rochester, I should say, trying to get DeSantos a little bit more involved, trying to get players like Garzi, like Forbes, who came up with a sensational service into the area. Need to get more of that. We need to get not just variation, but we need to get more volume, a higher quantity of opportunities near the opposing goal. Can't drop back so much because that does compromise you when you're on the attack.
Rochester Rhinos run out the clock in the first half. It's quite the exciting first half. Fireworks in the opening 30 minutes. 10th minute goal from Joe Farrell, then Romario Williams drawing level. It began here. 10th minute goal. It was Canardo Forbes who put the Rhinos back in front. At the half, the score, Rhinos 2, Charleston 1. Highlights and stats when we return on the USL Game of the Week.
Saves up there for Alex Kambakis. No corners yet. 0 for the Rhinos. 2 corners for Charleston. 10 fouls on Rochester, 4 on Charleston. And once again, at halftime, our score. Your Rhinos 2 and the Battery 1. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to send it back down to the main stage here at the stadium for Russell and Bromley Band.
Which read? There's 2. Yeah, I don't have that. It just says mini games on the field or halftime read.
Welcome teams from the Flowers City Soccer onto the pitch for our youth mini game.
Which Thank you. We're like coming back in like 10 seconds. And if you can try and let them know we don't like comments. Trailing by a goal as we head to the second half. The USL Game of the Week continues. The Battery and the Rhinos, each 4 championships in their illustrious United Soccer League history. The USLsoccer.com preview comparing the new guard and the old guard. In the case of these two sides, they fit both new ownerships. Rochester winning the championship a year ago, Charleston 4 years ago. Some of the most celebrated franchises in professional soccer in the United States. And we saw it at halftime, the community service outreach of the Rhinos, their ability to work with the media locally as Forbes plays it through for Garzi. And a foul against Garzi. Something a lot of new owners would do well to take a page out of the playbook of as we look at Dos Santos' foul here.
being very active, or sometimes gets a little bit overboard, but that's neither here nor there. That's part of his job, to really be able to complicate things, as he's done so very well up to now in this match. No substitutions for either team as the second half underway.
Picturesque vista overhead. Played through by Williams, and the shot is stopped by Gomez. The second shot is in. Equalizer for Charleston. And the Battery and Ricky Garbanzo pull even in the 47th.
Again, look at how everything's created off of Romario Williams. He brings in 3 defenders, splits that defense open, enough for Garbanzo to come through. That's where you start seeing the running, and really, as I was mentioning at the beginning of this half, how off the runs, off the ball, really create the big opportunities. Romario Williams can do that with the ball at his feet. Now he's able to show it, an assist and also a goal. Big night for the Jamaican.
Garbanzo's first goal with Charleston in the regular season. He scored twice in a preseason victory over the New York Cosmos out of Coastal Carolina, and he played the same high school as Sean Ferguson, the captain, Northwestern High School in South Carolina.
Again, when you have the ball on the feet of very intelligent, as far as football IQ is concerned, really being able to read the situation and timing things well, you have nothing but good things that are going to happen to you.
Another throw for Rochester, who suddenly finds themselves in search of a goal again. They've led twice. That's to the edge of the 18 as Tony Walls trying to latch on. And the counter slowed up. No whistle for Dos Santos. Clipped wide. Forbes. Tosh. Now Garzi playing it wide left. Camden. And the clearance. Taken by Michael Chang. Foul going against Charleston. Chang walking the other way from the encounter. And it's Williams and Samuel getting a talking to.
You heard Bob Lilly right there as he's saying, hey, we got to win the first ball out. And it's true. You have seen Rochester really falling back and not winning those challenges, winning those 50-50 balls, and trying to regain possession, regain positioning on the pitch, a bit disorganized. And when you start to see that, those opportunities, you don't know who to defend and where to defend. That led to the second goal for Charleston Battery.
Long ball out of the reach of the Rhinos, who lead the series between these two clubs 5-2-4. The majority of those games coming with Bob Lilly at the helm. For Rochester. Chipped ahead, Williams using the speed, gets around the keeper. He slows up. Gomez trying to get back, the cross, and it's not put in the net. Unbelievable that Charleston wasn't able to pull a goal out there.
You're going to see right here, as soon as it goes out, left foot, oh, he just uses it to stand on it because it gets clipped right there. Not his best foot, just uses it to walk and stand and do the basic things. As far as shooting on goal, well, that's another story.
Williams has had his shot at a hat trick tonight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Just tough breaks. But, again, those goals that you don't score end up getting scored on you.
It was a great chance for Charleston snuffed out that led to the most recent Rochester goal.
Now, another thing you did see on that play, fine, Williams was able to free up, but as soon as he broke past the goalkeeper, you saw Woodbine stop his run. That could have been another important opportunity if Woodbine would have started making a run inside, or at least make himself available. As soon as that angle got a little bit difficult for Williams to try and become an outlet and a possible shot right there. I mean, that's another thing you see as far as the defense was concerned. The runs get stopped, and the opportunities end up being very short and far and few between.
Not nearly enough support from Charleston offensively. Tomas Gomez, talk about his second start for this side. He just has a shutout against New York Red Bulls 2 to his credit thus far as a Rhino. And he came way off his line. That was a tremendous risk on his part.
Well, he had no choice. I mean, if he stays back, then the angle is going to be much wider, much better for Williams to take a shot from pretty much outside. That really complicates things for him, so he had no choice.
A sliding challenge to take the ball away. It's the man who made such a tremendous tackle throwing in, Quentin Griffith. Into the 54th minute in Rochester. Goals aplenty between two of the best defensive teams in the league. In the end, they aren't just two of the best defensive teams, they're just two of the best teams. A ton of talent as Forbes, the give and go. Forbes dishes it for Walls, and his cross is slid out. Still on for Samuel. Tosh sends the cross. Played toward the middle, out of the reach of Forbes. Walls giving chase. Charleston struggling to get the ball away. It's taken back by Tosh.
Again, this is Rochester at their best. Moving it around, trying to find the open man, trying to open up that defense. As you see now, Charleston closing ranks and really making things difficult in the passing alleys.
Forbes off the turnover. Sends it to the far post. That's out. Valesky was the target man. It's a goal kick for Charleston.
And try and make things happen there with as much space that you're getting on the outside. Maybe a shot from the outside will work. Maybe trying to set it in, trying to find Dos Santos a little bit more. That was not the case. The ball was being moved around, but really with no final objective in mind.
Digital HD Advertising, your #1 digital signage company for any establishment.
Taken by Farrell, who opened his USL scoring account today. Tagged wide, Dos Santos. Ball stays with the Rhinos, who complete a 3-game homestand today. They're looking to get a perfect 9 points. Their next home game, when they host Charlotte, this is the second of 3, Charlotte being the final of this homestand on May 14th, right back here, Salem Stadium at 6:05. Meanwhile, for Charleston at Harrisburg City on Monday, so 2 games in 4 days on the road. Dos Santos on the ground with Quentin Griffith.
That's not one guy that I really want to collide with, Quentin Griffith. Well, Dos Santos either, so both of them still seeing, everything's still together, especially Dos Santos making sure that that jaw's in place.
Dos Santos, 26-year-old, came by way of tryout, had played in Angola and Norway, and he's found a home in Rochester. And I think the Charleston coaching staff understands that this is a tremendous opportunity for the Rhinos just outside the 18 on what was a 50-50 foul. What can the Rhinos do here? They're looking for their third lead of the game. It's a low cross to Forbes. It's played out. It's a corner kick. Coach Anheuser still can't believe it. Bernardo Forbes found Asani Samuels for the game-winning goal in stoppage time in the USL Championship on the opposite side of the field last year.
Yeah, but with a much better cross than that.
Yes. To be fair, Asani Samuels is 6'5". He's on the bench to start tonight. As he's played in every game, we expect to see him later on. Now that's a target you can aim for. Again, they go low. It's headed back to the top of the 18. The attack's still on. Samuel. And it's a fly ball caught by Tembakis.
I mean, you look at these are two of the best teams. Right now, you see them in a very wide open Eastern Conference. You look at Louisville, you look at Cincinnati, you look at Charlotte, even you look at New York Red Bulls too, and just teams that have been so consistent. That's why consistency is key in order to be able to find the points. Just either grind or find, or be able to generate 3 points off of wins. That's what makes things so competitive on this Eastern Conference side. The side that really, if you start looking at teams right now, you would start saying that you have at least 3 or 4 contenders for that final, for even the title. If you look on the West, yeah, you do see it in the Galaxy and the Whitecaps. But so far, I mean, you do see a very tight but a very competitive, at least from a top to bottom. You do see an Eastern Conference that's very competitive and very, from a quality standpoint, top-notch.
And it's amazing the different styles that fans see week to week, because Louisville City is high-flying offense all the way. Rochester, a team that is more focused on its defensive approach and yet still finds a way to score. A lot of top-notch talent as well. There are players on the field tonight and moving forward in the USL who could find themselves playing in Copa America in the not-too-distant future, and some of these players already on that 40-man roster that's been released by most countries.
Well, yeah, and especially in the case of Jamaica, for example, there's 4 that are playing in USL. I'll mention them as soon as this play gets cleared up.
As Charleston goes up the line and finds Garbanzo. Garbanzo going one-on-one, sends it inside. Williams knocked down in the arc without a whistle, and taken back by the Rhinos.
Those passes have to go forward, cannot be backward when you're going on the counterattack. That's pretty much driving with the emergency brake on, and that's what causes a lot of problems as far as really establishing that flow and really complicating the defense when you're going on a counterattack, and they're just trying to track back.
Tosh now. Taken by Forbes. Forbes still dribbling. Sent wide by Valesky. Camden. And here's a long distance strike deflected on the way in. Woodbine last to touch it. And a hefty collision right into the 4th officials table.
You sound like you were commentating wrestling there for a second.
That looked like a wrestling move.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially the slamming into the commentator's table and all that other stuff.
Wow.
I left you teasing there as far as who was on the Copa America list, right?
Everyone, I think, has been writing it down. It's like the stat of the day kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's Ryan Thompson of St. Louis, goalkeeper. Sergio Campbell of Pittsburgh, as well as Romeo Parks, one of the leading goal scorers in the league as well. and Junior Flemings of New York Red Bulls 2, the 4 that are on Winnie Schaefer's provisional 40-man list for the Jamaican national team. So it'll be interesting to see not only how they perform at the national team level, but in case they are called up to that final 23-man list, how are their teams going to react and perform without them there?
And we saw Campbell and Parks on the USL Game of the Week last week, and those guys can run. They're big, they're physical, and they can move. It's a team with some exciting pieces in Pittsburgh. Canardo Forbes out of Kingston, Jamaica. USL Team of the Week last week for his goal against Harrisburg, turning 28 next Sunday. He scored in the 28th, and he sends in this cross towards Walls and handled by Tembakis.
No type of complication there for Tembakis. Really no runs were being made. Actually, there were being made, but they were being made to the first post. Everybody going and making that run to the first post. Unfortunately, it was delivered to the far post.
'63rd minute. 3 goals in the first half. Rochester left the opening 45 with a goal lead. 47th minute, Ricky Garbanzo scored his first of the year. Dom Samuel, the pushing and shoving. Now Dom Samuel goes down in a heap.
I'm not sure if he was cheering or if he was upset. Pumped his fist there at the end. He's colliding with Romario Williams. Now you got me thinking of Romeo Parks. Let me get out of here.
Two of the better goal scorers.
Yeah.
And their style's somewhat similar, too. Williams a little more central, Parks a little more wide, but when they get a hold of the ball, seems like there's only one thing going through their minds. Player down for Charleston behind the play. Rochester cedes the ball. Player we haven't seen a ton of in this game, maybe less than we thought.
Of course, it's Neville Hackshaw, who really has dropped back. He's played a very defensive position, has come out and really has prevented Rochester from really creating anything in the middle. We really haven't seen many players for Charleston. Maybe Forbes, when he starts going from the outside in, really creating something, as you see Valesky there getting some instructions from Bob Lilly and his staff.
Dom Samuel 2. Neville Hackshaw has been involved in the Copa America qualifying for Trinidad. Not a player that Coach Anheuser wants to see walk off at this particular juncture.
65 minutes in, and after we saw really a bit of euphoric action in the first half, the match has kind of dipped into a little bit of a rut, both creatively and offensively. So we really haven't seen both teams really being fully operational. You don't see them really being very fluid at this stage of the match. They've kind of neutralized each other with mistakes and also with a lack of pace that they've really been able to create, and that's where the difference has been so far.
The Rhinos carrying in the back, looking to find a bit of spark here. Their last goal came in the 28th minute. Played back by Tosh.
Again, what we've seen so far from Rochester, a lot of difficulty to find Tosh from the defenders. When he does find the ball, has to drop it back, and that's when the pressure's being exerted by Charleston. That's what we're seeing here, and forcing the ball to be transported by players like Forbes. Usually players, yes, they are able to transport, but at the same time, they're players that shouldn't be normally doing the distributing. They should be doing the attacking down the wings.
Coach on the ball now, and again, you say it, it's automatic pressure. Every time he's touched the ball, it seems he's been the focus, the bridge that Charleston is trying to break.
You see now with Forbes, the same things happen. You do see them, you do see this sponge. It opens up, it comes back. You see it going back and forth, contracting, expanding, saying, okay, fine, we'll close everything here, go somewhere else. You open up, try and force the pressure, and they have to try and find the place to diffuse it, and the problems are being caused there. I'm not sure if that was a foul, though.
And they aren't whistling it as Farrell was down. It's Garzi battling into the corner. Griffith still fighting. It's Garzi who comes away with the ball, sends the cross. Was looking for Valesky and Walls both from the middle of the goal mouth and wider. And back come Charleston. And a hefty foul. Ankles clipped. It's Wall fall. Stuck his foot in, and it's another booking.
Another little wrinkle we're seeing with Romario Williams. Look at how many times he gets the ball with his back to goal. And look at every time he's able to get it cleanly. You don't see the Rochester defense really preventing him from getting the ball. He gets it, he's able to turn and find the open man. That really has caused a lot of complications. Actually, that was what caused the equalizer in the second half.
A yellow card has been issued to the Rhinos, number 17, Wall Fall.
And Wall Fall goes into the referee's book as well.
And this is second game and his first start as a Rhino. And this is played towards the middle of the field. Players are down. And Rochester clears it out of the 18. Not too much trouble. And that's an easy call. Obi Woodbine took a high hop off the turf, and his hands just happened to be in the way.
You know what? If his hand wasn't in the way, he'd be on the ground right now. And for you gentlemen, you know what I'm talking about.
2-2 between Charleston and Rochester, as Woodbine is A-okay.
Trust me, your hand would be in the way too.
Yep. Driven to the top of the 18. Chested down, and a shot is held by Tambakis. There's a collision as well, and a stoppage coming.
Everything happened there. Dos Santos in the neighborhood, so you know that had to be a clash with him. But again, you do see the opportunities that Rochester's getting, that second ball that's coming through. That's what Bob Lilly was talking about. Hey, let's try and get to that second ball. When they have been able to do it, the few times they have in the second half, it has led to potential opportunities. This shot, of course, being one of them, and probably the best one so far in the second half.
And Doug Graham going to work, the trainer for Rochester. Got a bit of a knock there on the back of the head. And our focus turns back to the field of play.
For tonight's groups in attendance, call 454-KICK to get discounted pricing of your group of 10 or more.
So it'll be a 10 on 10, at least for a few seconds, until both players come back onto the pitch.
Mueller, the other injured player, he appears a little more ready to return. Dos Santos is more than prepared too.
Yeah, they're trying to beat each other to the pitch. We'll see.
Well, they're going to be taking up the same area of the field again. And there they trot back in. No harm and no foul.
Or in this case, no blood.
No blood. Yeah, that's right.
But
there's a little harm, but
well, at least turf burn. But well, let's not get too picky about that.
No. Although this new turf, there's been a lot of tweets from the players about it. They are over the moon to get this brand new field turf in. There's a lot less turf burn to be had for both the Rhinos, their opponents, and the Western New York Flash of the NWSL, who play their games right here at Salem Stadium. Opened in 2006. Renovations over the offseason. New scoreboard panels were added, concession stands, new turf. As new ownership, putting their money where their mouth is, and part of another renovation of a USL stadium. Samuel, the aerial ball. Dos Santos settles, sends it wide for Valesky. Played to the top. Long hop out, Garzi. The Battery take over in the 72nd minute of this 2-2 tie.
But you start seeing not only just Tosh being marked, but as soon as Tosh does get the ball, he turns around and looks. What's the first thing he sees? He looks for Tony Walls. Tony Walls is being marked. So what happens? They have to try and open it up out wide. So you do see a very trudging-like offense trying to head to goal, so they have to try and find the longest way to it, which has been down the wings.
And Tony Walls, not typically a wing player in our experience.
Yeah, I mean, but you see him, and he's getting, as you see the ball getting sent, but as soon as he turns around, he sees Walls, and he sees somebody marking him. That's been a big problem because he has to turn around and try and deliver the ball. He did have Valesky going down the right side, really couldn't deliver it.
The yellow card is coming. Garzi on his way back off the ground.
So, yeah, so yellow card's coming up for Romario Williams. Got a little bit too excited there and ended up running over Garzi in the process.
So Williams, the yellow card caution in the 74th minute. His team's looking to leave with 3 points. Valesky gives it away, and that's knocked out by Tembakis, and a penalty is issued. The Rhinos will have a chance to take the lead again, this time from the spot.
A penalty kick has been
So
awarded.
good opportunity here, of course. Mueller, Hackshaw and company will be debating that. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, right there.
It was Dos Santos who was hit by Ferguson.
Attempting to kick for your Rhinos is number 20.
So it'll be
Tony
Tony
Walls.
Walls.
He's looking for his first of the year. Tony Walls looking to put Rochester in front.
Looks like he's going to go to his right.
Jeff Gamble explaining the rules here. Walls against Tembakis. Walls goes right, he scores. Rochester back in front, 3-2.
Well taken penalty kick there by Walls. Obviously based on the angle that he was coming in from, and then the stutter step, that immediately takes away that left-hand side, only allows him to go to that right side. Very well taken, only place he can go is there. But mentally, the goalkeeper said, you know what? Let me go to the opposite side, and Rochester take the lead.
The Dworkin family more than excited. Dave and Wendy Dworkin, the owners, getting their Robert Kraft shot, as it might be.
Oh, they're a little more emotional, I think.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Yeah.
The owner of the Patriots doesn't usually get that excited, but the Dworkins...
I don't think you can jump that high either.
No. They own part of the Sacramento Kings. It's been in the family for a very long time. That's actually why they got back in when the new Sacramento Kings ownership group was put together. They wanted to get someone with a little bit of experience with the Kings organization all the way back when it was in Rochester as the Royals. But the kids in that family not allowed to wear any Rochester, or rather any Sacramento gear, but they can wear all the Rochester gear they want. As smoke from the fan base, Valesky slow to get back up.
Looks like those were those Rosario Central fans from the other day in Copa Lib.
The stadium looked like it was on fire. It was, what a scene that was. Excitement, but not nearly that extreme.
Not nearly that many.
No. But the Dworkin family sat down with Jeff DeVeronica of the Democrat and Chronicle, who does such a terrific job over the last 20 years of covering the Rhinos and soccer in upstate New York. A lot of interesting pieces to be had there. An article worth reading for Rhinos fans and USL fans alike is ball knocked away from Woodbine. And Rochester looking for another. And in the process, Woodbine took the ball and knocks it off Dos Santos.
Currently, Charleston looking for north with Jack Sparrow's compass, as they look completely lost after that penalty kick. As a substitution coming on, it will be Jordan Becker coming on, and off goes Bradley Camden. So first substitution of the match coming in the 78th minute of play. Just trying to get a little bit more oxygen in that back line, getting a little bit more refreshed for the long run, for at least for this long 13 minutes plus.
Camden making just his second start of the year. So he pops off in the 78th, and Becker, who's played 156 minutes on the young campaign, steps in. Player who saw his stock rise immeasurably when UMBC made that shocking run to the College Cup semifinal. You look at the teams they knocked off to get there. They lost to Virginia, but Wake Forest and Maryland, Louisville, and Creighton. So Becker into the game for Rochester as Charleston looks to attack. And the ball knocked away. It's a corner for Charleston as they look to again draw level.
And great work there by Williams to try and make enough of his second move. That's going to be a second substitution. It will be Ryan James coming on. Didn't get exactly who will be coming off.
Meanwhile, it's Portillo preparing.
And be Mike Garzi coming off. So pretty much just position substitutions just to maintain the shape. Really not much that is being offered as far as tactical changes overall, not a defender for a forward or vice versa.
Portillo punched away. Gomez. So Rochester takes over possession in the 80th minute. 2 subs of their 5 have been used. Dante Marini into the game for Charleston. Marini used as a super sub the last couple of years. And that's the role he's asked to play now as Charleston looks to salvage at least a point in the game's final 10 minutes. Dos Santos, through ball. It's onside. Forbes, his cross is deflected. And Griffith earns the throw.
As you mentioned Marini on, but it's Zach Prince that comes off. And again, too much dependence on Romario Williams. He has to dribble, he has to create, he has to pass, and of course, right now, he's looking to also finish. Can't be on all ends of the ball at this stage of the game. So other players have to really start coming through, as you see a livid Bob Lilly there giving indications.
He got a 3-year contract extension at the end of the magical run through the USL playoffs last year. The magical run through the entire season, frankly, just 1 loss. He'll be yelling on that sideline for the foreseeable future. Ferguson looking to put it back in play.
Charleston going way too lateral, and when they go forward, it's only to Romario Williams. That's a major problem right there.
There's Garbanzo trying to sneak it through again, to your point.
You see Lilly there trying to get the attention. Not sure who. Looks like Tony Walls.
And we look back. Garbanzo trying to play it between 3 players. That's a tough ball to try and put through.
Yeah. I mean, the way it is.
Nike is a proud partner of the USL.
You see right there, Ricky Garbanzo having to come off. Has been the only one. I mean, really haven't seen Marini since he came in, really trying to take that role on. Everything's been down the left, really limiting themselves tremendously in these final few minutes. It's easy to say that the penalty goal there by Tony Walls really took the wind out of their sails proverbially, but they really haven't been able to find their way anywhere remotely close to the goal being defended tonight by Tomas Gomez.
Rhinos on the attack, looking for one more. Valesky. His service cleared away. And a foul whistled against the Rhinos at midfield. I'm not sure we're the best commentators for this match. I think Bob Lilly might be the best person to listen to right now.
Don't be telling them. He might believe you.
As Williams tried to play through the entire Rhino defense. One which doesn't allow 2 goals very often. First time they've allowed 2 goals this season.
Yeah, and Charleston not a team that allows 3 either, but there's been certain breakdowns that they've had that have allowed for those 3 goals to happen, and not very characteristic of them to make those types of mistakes, especially in the back.
And only 1 loss this year. It came to Charlotte, and it came in a 3-2 decision on the road. Although saying on the road with Charleston is almost unnecessary because they are unbeaten in their last 28 at MUSC Health Stadium in South Carolina. Ferguson up the line but snuffed out.
Saw that pass by Ferguson, wasn't looking up. Just casually decides to send it. Knew that his teammate was there, but didn't know that there was a defender also anticipating it. Has to look, has to think a little bit more in order to maintain possession. That ball would have been kept alive, but just one little detail. That was him looking to see where he's sending it, and another substitution coming on for the Charleston battery.
Austin Savage. Ricky Garbanzo has completed his shift for the day, 84 minutes and change. Pretty good game for Garbanzo. Scored his first goal of the season after winning Newcomer of the Year for Charleston last season in their team awards. Dos Santos trying to keep it in play, but that eked over the touchline. These teams meet again in Charleston Saturday, September 3rd. The Charleston looking to take at least 1 point from their road trip into Rochester.
Again, not developing, not building, just sending it deep, launching it to see if by any chance Romario Williams can get a touch.
The extra pass knocked down by Dos Santos. And the play broken up. It's Mueller. Four minutes and most likely a fair amount of stoppage. Couple of goals in the half, including a penalty. Couple of players injured and taken off the field. Woodbine. And that's offside netting.
Looks like there's maybe another substitution coming on.
Of course, you have up to 5 substitutes in USL, a bit of a unique rule. Here's Woodbine's service, a bit of a wasted opportunity.
Replacing number 9, Christian Boleski.
As Christian Boleski will come off for as Samuel's coming on. Lasso comes on as well. So substitutions galore here in these final few minutes.
Substitution for the Charleston battery.
As Ugarte will be coming on as well. Marcos Ugarte.
Neville Hackshaw.
And Neville Hackshaw comes off
Substitutions
as
in
well.
the 87th minute.
It's everybody clearing the bench at this stage a bit. Asani Samuels, all 6'5" of him, out of Canisius, the Golden Griffins. Not to be confused with Dom Samuel, who plays at a polar opposite end of the field, but merely an S dividing their names. It's Portillo.
Very sloppy play from Charleston here in these final few minutes. Really not finding their way, really not looking for the appropriate manner. Really lost a great deal of clarity into trying and dissecting this Rochester defense. They're doing them all types of favors. Obviously, a very good defensive team. When you're not executing offensively, you're helping them out. You're kind of helping them half win the battle already.
Yes, that's kicked away, and the ball stays with Charleston. And it's been a battle Rochester has won nearly the entire game. Very limited times where Charleston has gotten the offense really going. This is a long throw into the middle of the box.
I mean, the substitutions you've seen, obviously, for Rochester, a bit more defensive, trying to drop back, trying to slow down the pace of the game a little bit more. Obviously, for Charleston, trying to speed things up.
And this into the box, and there's not a whistle there. That was a bit soft going down near the end line.
Yeah. That was a Joe Blade challenge, because that was the only artificial bit of grass that came close to really even putting him down. Right here. Just got tripped over by the little rubber chips on the pitch. That's about the only thing you can attribute it to.
Nearing stoppage time in this, the USL game of the week. We return in a West Coast setting in our next contest. Colorado Springs, the site, as they welcome Portland Timbers 2. That comes on May 13th. And it's our first West Coast game, which means our first West Coast time slot, 9 p.m. Tosh for Ugarte. Ball stays with the Rhinos as they try and melt off the remainder of the clock. 4 minutes of stoppage time to be played.
If you start looking at the overall body of work that Rochester have done, they've maintained their shape, they've maintained their composure. They haven't lost much of their poise when Charleston's come back and equalized. They've maintained that, but it's been Charleston, especially after that third goal, that really lost their direction, that really lost that impetus to be able to attack. It got very desperate. They started not thinking, and that's really what ended up dictating the pace of the game and therefore the result.
Looking for a late equalizer, and that is back to the far side. Another chance for service is deflected by Farrell. A corner, if successfully defended, those fans may be going home with 3 points. A very competitive Eastern Conference. Headed to the middle of the field. Loose, and Gomez yanks it down.
But again, very well done, very good execution collectively as far as the defense is concerned. They were able to somewhat neutralize Romario Williams towards the end of the match, but that's part of the reason why you saw him be so ineffective towards the end. His team really didn't put him in a situation to score. When he had the ball at his feet, that's when he was able to make the difference. When that ball was taken away, he just became another spectator in especially the past 15 minutes or so. That's exactly what he's been.
Dos Santos collides, and they're looking for a potential handball outside the box. Dos Santos still down. Tembakis with the collision there. Meanwhile, Charleston still trying to get forward here. They've got another 2 minutes left. Try and take something away. Played back, and the shot is just high. A long overdue shot. Williams.
And great bit of work there. Comes off of Williams, and everything pretty much gravitates around the Jamaican international. That's the one that makes things happen. If it's not through him, it hasn't been through anyone else.
A cannon of a shot with a minute and change remaining, at least, here in stoppage. Woodbine up the line. Asani Samuels, not his best work. Long ball over the top. Gomez colliding, headed towards the net, and Gomez slides over, makes the stop.
High risk, low reward there for Gomez as he comes off his line and ends up almost giving up the equalizer there. Has a wonderful image there.
Tosh the touch. Foul whistled. Referee's kind of pointing in the direction of the circle. He's already there. One whistle, not three. We play on. Headed, and the shot is right at Gomez. He makes the stop, and that should do it.
And good effort, good bit of work there. But unfortunately, that shot ends up hitting the dummy, as they say, when you send it right to the goalkeeper. A big win for Rochester.
The Rhinos move into second place with a game in hand, 1 point behind Louisville City FC with their 3-2 victory over Charleston. The penalty kick goal from Tony Walls in the 75th. The difference as the Rhinos pulled away with 3 points in this heated battle between two teams with so much history.